Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Star Wars Unlimited Artificery podcast. This is episode 11, double one. I'm here, joined as always with my co-hosts Garrett, aka
Yep.
Zero Hour,
Hello.
and the other Nick, aka Taxter, and I am the original Nick, aka the Gandork. Um, Yeah, we were off. We were supposed to record last week, but I wasn't. I was sick all weekend, so didn't want to have you guys deal with my, gross symptoms on stream.
Being a
So
chump.
yeah, being a chump, putting it off a week. But yeah, we're here this week to talk about all things Star Wars Unlimited. So like yeah, as usual, let's start with like what have you been playing lately? How's that been going? I'm gonna throw it to Nick first.
I have been playing a lot of Cheer It. I got to do, let's see, since released, I've mostly played Cheer It and Constructed. I had 2 drafts, and I went 3-0 in both of those so far. Not sure when I'll get to draft again. I think one of the stores still has product. I'm just gonna be busy when that's going on. But drafting's been a lot of fun. I definitely look forward to doing more of that when I can. Um, First time was kind of nuts because I got ECL with Krennic, and it just killed leaders every single game. In the second draft, I had Hera in a pool where like one other person was going hero, so I just had the pick of the litter. I had like 2 A-wings and like one of every Spectre, and it was fantastic. It felt like the Hera that I wanted to play, where she actually felt good.
Yeah, seems
Um,
good.
but like Constructed's been fun. I really like Cheer It, but like trying to prep for this event this weekend and getting scared off of him a little bit because Boba is just, a good person on Boba is scary. So yeah, Gandor kind of maybe scared me onto Iden Red, which is also fantastic, and I love it. It just like plays to my playstyle so well.
I think I
Um,
shared that and I said, Nick, this is your
yeah,
kind of
pretty
deck.
much. I played it for the first time last
Games.
night. I jammed a bunch of games with one of the guys at the store, um, and just played some against Boba and Sabine, a bunch of reps and getting my bearings for all the lines of play to do. But feels good. I mean, it didn't feel like it was like, oh, I'm gonna win every time versus Boba. There's a lot of dumb things Boba can still do, but honestly, felt a little bit better versus Sabine,
Yeah.
which is weird.
I mean, the green Sabines, I've said this before, like if they're green Sabines, they're not like they say, "Oh, I'm aggro," but I'm like, "Yeah, you're not really aggro in my opinion." Like you're like you've given up full aggro to have some mid-range tricks with like ECL and going up to like 6 resources and playing bigger things. And I think that makes them more susceptible to like control decks. Like they're basically trading off having a better game against like mid-range decks, like and they run into Boba, but they're worse against control decks is essentially the trade-off there. And nobody's really running like the double red aggros or like the super low to the ground aggros that like stop it, like playing Sabine and stop resourcing at 4 because they're double dropping every round. Like that's aggro to me, and no
Yeah,
one's really
I mean,
running.
Yep.
and that's the stuff that like would more make me want to play something like Bombing Run. That otherwise is like, I mean, Bombing Run just doesn't feel like it fits like with the way Sabine decks are playing right now. Like, I don't think you're gonna often get value. Um, Otherwise, like I think my like favorite time versus Sabine was where I won a game where I literally ate 20 damage that was unavoidable from like well, not even counting Sabine's pings. It's like between K2, 3 K2s and 3 for a cause I believe in. That was 20 damage, and then like all the Sabine pings. It's like, yeah, you just heal so much over the course of like a really long game. Like that went like probably like 11, 12 turns maybe before it's like, now I have an Avenger and like a Dooku, and you just aren't going to be able to win. I'll slowly kill you. But
Yeah, starting with the 30 hit point base and being like you're gonna have to deal 40 plus to like end
Yeah.
this
It's
game is a
brutal.
thing. All right. What about you, Garrett? What have you been playing lately? How's it been going?
Uh, so we had a tournament on a constructed on Saturday, draft Sunday, and then constructed last night. So on Saturday I ran Luke and Green, and it did super well. Like it just ramps really well with resupply because like you can just drop it at 3. Luke, I don't play ECL, so I have enough health. I'm just like I'll take a turn, it's fine. And then you just get you're so far ahead at that point. Um, and I won that one. I went 3-0 in that one.
Did you get dispatchers out often? Were you
Yes.
running those? Like I was like I feel like if you get those things out, just being able to like either you're playing a bigger drop or you're playing an on curve drop and shielding it, which also feels really good.
So I run Bale in mine as well. So like on turn, I had several turn twos that were resupply, dispatcher. I used dispatcher to drop Bale, so I'm still getting a unit drop. Um, and that felt really good. Even if you don't get a resupply, like dropping Kanan on turn 2 is
Seems fine.
brutal. It's brutal. Um, so that was fun. And then Sunday I drafted Hera, and I went 3-1 in that draft. So I didn't win it. I got third place. But the guy next to me realized I was drafting Spectres and then started cutting me. So like 2 Sabines went that way, and I couldn't get them, so I didn't have Sabine. But he realized it like a little bit too late because I already had most of the Spectres. But that was fun. That was a fun one. And then last night I took your advice, Nick, and I played
Yeah.
Chewy, and I went 3-0 with Chewy, and he is a menace. Like running ECL in there is still scary to me. Like 25 health is terrifying to me. But there's enough restore usually in that deck where you can
There's a
just
lot of restore in that
you
deck.
just
It's
don't
surprising the
care.
amount that adds up. Yeah.
Like you're playing against Sabine, it can be tough because Sabine can just put that damage into you faster than you can restore. But I sideboarded in Trader. I lost my first game against Sabine, and then I sideboarded Traitorous in, and then he played red 3. I'm just like, okay, I'll just take it.
Mine.
Yeah, Chewy is a menace, and I think I really underestimated and undervalued Chewy because
I
he
think
can
everybody
be.
did, and like they're kind of waking up to him. Like I just never deck build. I was always convinced that he was like not completely dumpster tier. Like whereas like I mean he seems viable, but
I
like
I mean I just
I'd like
under
cheer it more.
yeah I also really like Jarrett. But like I felt like coming out at 7 wasn't good because like Luke's right there at 6, Jarrett's at 5. Why do I need to do this? But then like you can get to 7 easily with Chewy because you're just dropping Sentinels every turn. Like they can't kill you. So it's just brutal. And like you put an echo based defender out, and then you can use this ability to get another Sentinel, so that even if they drop the Spec Force, that one cost red 2/2
Hmm.
that gets rid of a Sentinel, you're like, all right, here's another one. Deal with it.
Yeah,
So
and then just
it's
flipping Chewy himself. He's just such a he asks a unique question that a lot of decks or players aren't used to answering because they're like, "Oh, he's 2/9 Sentinel, that's fine." Oh, but if I hit him, all of a sudden he's hitting me back for like some stupid amount to my base.
yeah. Like I didn't play a Boba, so I don't know how the matchup goes into Boba, but I feel like if you sequence things correctly, it should be okay. Because
You're
even
playing a
if
lot of low to the ground stuff, so like you're
yeah,
not getting a ton of waylay value, right?
Hmm.
no,
Like it's like Wedge probably being like the worst thing to get waylaid.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean they could waylay Luke, but
I
I
mean,
think
like
you're okay.
go
this
for it.
on,
Yeah, go
yeah,
for it.
like
He's
the
coming
on
back out and killing
he
something
did he
late
else.
did what he
decks.
needed to do on with 7 resources, and he'll do it again. Like go for it. I mean, like Boba unit's scary, but you can kind of deal with him with Chewie. You just don't attack, and they'll just pass, and that happened to me in the Sabine match actually, where like I had Chewie there and he passed, and I was like, all right, I'll just pass. I'm not gonna attack you for 2. I'll take
Yeah.
initiative, so it's fine.
Did you ever pull off the Akbar in your own Chewy to hit harder?
No,
Secret play that I always want to do.
it never came up, but that is I was looking for it, but it never happened.
Like, oh,
I
you're
never
not
had
you're
the
not hurting my
opportunity.
Chewy. Well, here's Akbar, and I'll hit my own Chewy for 3. Now he's a 5, and I'm gonna start hitting you.
Like putting an electro staff on Chewie is annoying.
Yeah, That makes a problem an even bigger problem for your opponents. Like 2-9, it's annoying that they can't really attack into. And then you're like, well, what if he's a 4-11, and now he's kind of a threat? And now if you try to attack into him, it's even worse for you.
Yeah.
It's like super anti like wide build.
And like if I'm not playing against blue, I'm not worried about takedowns. So he can be a little bit more fast and loose with them too. I mean, I
Right.
guess you got to worry about open fire against red, but those usually get used earlier in the game.
I
So
mean,
I
if
don't
you get
know.
to the point where
I
Chewie's
like
out,
him.
do you even are you even worried versus aggro much anymore? I guess there's still
No,
space, but
I'm not worried. Like when every time I got Chewy out, because in the first game against Sabine, I didn't get him out. Sabine just steamrolled me. I couldn't stop her. But then the second one, I put in the Sentinel Patrol Crafts and Traitorous, and like I just shut down anything that he tried to do. And just stealing red 3, especially since I'm also playing hero. It's
Like
like,
this
all
helps
right,
me
well now
now.
I have raid.
yeah.
It's brutal. Like Chewy's way better than I expected.
Yeah, I think some of the big things, like back when people thought he was bad, was like not having stuff like Ewing, and we didn't know about Electro Staff until way late.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else, but Ewing is a card that does
Yeah,
things
yeah,
if
it
you
is.
go long enough. Um, yeah, so anyway, that's cool. I can't take all the credit for that Chewy deck because it was basically based off of a build that we'll talk about a little bit later that did good in the Poland event, and then it's kind of been a few people have posted different versions of it, but yeah, top eighted the Poland event was where I originally got the idea. I think it was Sarna was the his Discord name. I don't remember his real name, but it was Sarna from on the Discords, and then yeah, I think K Todd Bobby Sapphire posted his own version. He had a video of it earlier this week that he released. So if people want more information on that, a couple other people that deep dive the deck. And as for me, for the let's see, past few weeks, I had to miss my game night last week because I was sick. But the week before that, since we hadn't recorded, I brought Leia. So I had to play my showcase Leia. So I had a Leia green red deck that was just basically kind of playing like weird mid range into Ewing. 3-0'd my event fairly easily with that. Like she just kind of tore stuff up and did Leia things. It's a really good deck. It's probably I don't know. I've said it's one of my favorite decks. That like if I had a big event, I might just play that because I just have so much fun playing it. But then apart from that, I did a build a box event that one of our local stores did where they capped it at 8 players and we all bought a box, like a sealed box. Excuse me, I'm gonna cough. And then you build a deck, like just a legal deck out of that box. And I built a Boba green deck, super original. I didn't have ECL, but I had most of all the stuff you'd want for Boba Green out of my box, including a Vader. And I didn't have any overwhelming barrages, but I did run 2 Cunnings that I opened out of Aspect, which close enough at 6. If you're playing Cunning, it kind of smashes the
Yeah.
board. It's the
Pretty good.
same. Um, I don't know, a bunch of other good stuff. I had like 3 7th Fleet Defenders. I had 3 Super Laser Technicians, 3 Resupplies. Um, 3 waylays. Like my deck had like most of the things you'd want. So anyway, I easily 3-0'd that event and won one of the Gamma play mats that had K2SO on it. So I was really
Ooh.
excited about that. Yeah, that was the only reason I really want to do it. It's like I bought a lot of product, but I'll buy one more box to try to win this play
Yeah,
mat.
no, if someone around here doesn't buy a box, I would absolutely do it or build a
But
box.
yeah, my box ended up being like really good because I think all the legendaries that I pulled a Vader, I pulled an Avenger, I pulled 2 Cunnings. All 4 of those were ones that I needed. So I was like, I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
have them. Like they
really
were all straight
nice.
to the
I
plate.
I need 5 cards, and those are 2 of them.
Yeah, no, I needed all of those, so they immediately went in my playset, and then I won the mat. So I'm like, this hundred and it was they charged full MSRP for the box, so I paid $120 for the event, but it ended up being well worth it because I pulled 4 legendaries I needed plus getting the play mat. So I can't really
Yeah.
complain. Um, And then yeah, that's basically what I did. I haven't had a chance to do any drafts. My local store restocked big and sold everything out, and they aren't doing drafts at like my store. So if I want to do a draft, I have to go to like one of the other two stores that are supporting events in my area, which I think I might try next week. Just to actually get a draft in. I'm jealous of all your guys' drafts because it's my favorite format, and I haven't been able to do one since release. So
Yeah,
Oh,
they've
we
been
don't
running
have
every
any
week. I
more.
don't know if the prize support for it might be in store credit because I think they're trying to conserve
There aren't any
packs,
packs.
but
There aren't any boxes in the city anymore.
you're a solid guy.
We're probably gonna try to draft next week. I put together a common and uncommon cube. So we're probably gonna try to draft that next week just to not play constructed again.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I guess pivoting on that, let's talk about like the big news with boxes selling out or Asmodee distribution selling out. Since we just basically heard that the weekend before last that it came out, and all the stores found out they couldn't order any more product. Cool thing, in my opinion, is that FFG did post like an official little like memo about they are aware, just letting everyone know, hey, boxes are sold out or like they're really darn close to it, and we have a plan, in place for this, and we're going to be, allocating to local stores over the next few weeks, which I thought was really cool, at least, from a
So
new FFG perspective that they'd
what
communicated.
exactly is that? Like, it was a little confusing the way it's worded. Like, I guess I just don't have any idea of the scale they're talking. Is this like enough product, or is it still gonna like? I just feel like we're still gonna possibly struggle until set two, which could be bad if we're still trying to get new people in. But I don't know.
Mhm.
What are you thinking?
I mean, okay, so the downside is they didn't super go into specifics. Like, so we don't know exactly what
Right.
they're doing. The good news is, like, unlike Destiny, where we would just have radio silence while there was no product, they actually said something. Um, so that's an improvement. Another thing that people have pointed out, nowhere in their whole post did they say anything about a reprint. Like, they didn't actually use those words, like, we're printing
No, they
more.
didn't.
We just said, hey, we're going, we have product we're going to allocate and, sprinkle out in waves over, the next 2 months. But they didn't say anything about a reprint or any massive reorder of product. Yeah.
It sounds
So
like they
I
had
don't,
like a reserve then, and they just like tapped into the reserve. That's kind of how like it was
Seems that way.
worded to me.
I
yeah,
mean, hopefully they do a reprint because I think they're gonna need it. I don't know if they could not do one.
yeah. I mean,
I
I've
think they
heard
will want it
some,
because I mean, there's going to be demand for it. There's going to be people. Anyone new comes into the game in the next like however long the rotation is still going to have the desire to get some of that product. Possibly, maybe they're not cracking boxes, but like it would be nice if the prices of things went down based on where we speculated them to be originally. Everything's holding really high.
yeah. I mean, I have heard rumors from a friend of a friend or whoever that like a reprint is happening, but it might like the full reprint might not be here until around set 2 release in July. So like that's a thing that could be a reality. Like obviously nothing officially confirmed, but yeah, it could be very slim pickings for the next 3 months, essentially April, May, and June, for trying to get set 1 product. But I have to feel like Garrett said that they have to reprint some because they want to get new
Yeah.
players in at some point, and there's going to be people out there that want to stock up on set 1, even if they, but they're probably already printing set 2, considering it has to get shipped and warehoused and out by a July release date. Hopefully, if they're going to hit that, so I'm sure that gets in the way of them reprinting set 1, or whatever
Unless
that
they already
timeline.
have said two printed.
I Yeah,
I don't know.
I would just be surprised if they don't do reprints. At least, even if it's a limited amount. Like the I don't think they had it in their plans to do another print. But I also don't think they expected to sell out of the game like that quickly. I just none of us did. Like looking back at our other episodes, like I think we all expected it to do well. I don't think any of us saw this coming.
Yeah, I think that's a thing to at least put it in perspective. Like you're gonna get the FFG haters that are still out going, haha, see, I told you so. But like really it's not like anywhere near the same situation they've had with like their past product releases. It's
I
not
mean, if they
anywhere.
printed a lot more, it would just have
Yeah,
been a big risk, right? Like,
I mean that's my point. Like so a lot of product went out. Like a crazy amount of product went out. Like anybody that put in a pre-order at their local store for like around release, is everybody got like their initial pre-orders. Like
which is
zero.
why I was telling people to pre-order the game because
I
it'll
know.
help with like trying to
Yep.
get our numbers in.
Yeah, it's
They,
not like
yeah,
nobody got allocated pre-orders. Like anybody that wanted product was able to find it that first week easy. Like
yes.
unlike Destiny where it was all gone in like 2 days, like and you couldn't
Destiny
find it.
sold out because they didn't print any of it, not because
Exactly,
people
that's my
bought
point.
it.
They didn't print it. Like Lorcana was gone before release kind of thing. Like Lorcana had that issue where they just didn't print anywhere near like a quantity that could
But that
support a
still
big player
sold
base.
more than this, didn't it? Like,
I don't know. I'm curious to
I
see the
don't know.
numbers. I
I
get
don't
an
know how
the
much
demand
of
was
inkling.
still bigger.
I don't know how much of the Chapter One Lorcana they actually made. Like I'm not sure. It sold out, but
Yeah,
people were
They moved a
going.
ton of product at Gen Con last year. Like,
Yeah,
just they moved a
they're-
ton of product at
don't
Gen
don't
Con.
underestimate Disney adults, my man. Like
yeah. I don't like they moved a ton of product, but I think in the grand scheme of things, they didn't move a ton of product at Gen Con. Like it was a
Yeah,
lot for Gen
it looked
Con,
like a
but
lot.
like it just a matter of scale and the number of people there. Like I with complete no science, no numbers, I would think this. I've said this before. Like I have nothing to back it up, but I feel like Star Wars Unlimited might be the biggest card game release of all time. Like
I
I would
don't.
want to see numbers, but I would not be surprised for like a new game coming out if they sold more product in the first 2 weeks than like any other game. And you'd be like,
I like.
Lorcana was super popular. I don't know if they printed as much as Lorcana. Like
I
couldn't
watched
get
a
there 'cause they didn't
YouTube
print it.
video of like
Yeah.
someone trying to analyze it, but all they were using was like boxes sold on TCG Player, and I'm like, I
you
don't
can't do
know.
that. No,
I don't know if that's a really good metric or not.
I mean
No,
I
because like TCG Player doesn't have the stores that like my store ordered 150 boxes and they're all gone. That's the
Right.
biggest. They didn't get that many Lorcana boxes like in the first 2 weeks. Like that's just, they didn't get close. So
I mean I'm old enough to have played Pokemon when it launched, and I remember that being impossible to find. But also, I was like 10, so
right.
that might not be a
I don't
great.
remember it. I just remember getting
Yeah,
packs of it occasionally.
I remember it was really hard to find. I remember going to Toys R Us and it was a madhouse. Um, but like, who knows what that actually translates into as far as like boxes sold. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I, I guess it would surprise me if Unlimited was the biggest like card game launch of all time. It wouldn't like blow me away, but it would be surprising to me.
Really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm not saying that they're gonna sell more than like Magic does over a period or like Magic does now because they're established, but I'm like a new game for how much they print it. Like I think a lot of the times in the past, like new games didn't make this much product to launch. But
I
I don't
mean,
know.
what about like
You're wrong.
the like all the Bandai games? I feel like those are always come out and are super popular. Is those just really
Yeah.
short printed?
Those are always super short printed. Like
Yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of like a thing that I'm playing into my estimate, my guess here is that a lot of other games I feel don't print as much and then
Well,
sell
Magic.
out. I feel like they printed a ton here like and they were like we didn't think there was any way this would sell out. We printed so much and it sold out.
I mean,
So,
Magic. You can't even count Magic launch because like that didn't do these kind of numbers at
I
launch
mean,
because
I
Magic
no
agree.
one
was
Yeah,
the
like
played it,
first
right?
TCG, so
Yeah. Or
yeah,
like I don't even Yu-Gi-Oh. I have no clue. I have nothing to gauge that on. I don't know. But like I remember the insanity that was 1997 Pokemon. Like I remember it pretty vividly. But again, that's memory is flawed. Human memory is flawed.
yeah, and
I was
I don't
10
know.
years
The
old.
thing with like all those old games, at least when I think about it, is it's just I think the general market wasn't as big back then.
Right.
Like, you're like it was crazy people going for Pokemon, but I still think it was a matter of a smaller market going
I think
after a
that's true.
smaller
Yeah.
franchise.
Probably.
Where here, like gaming is like such a big
The
thing
internet
now.
was still barely real at that point.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no TCG player even for people to find cheap ass boxes all the time. Anyway, I don't know. I hope we don't get, I hope the game doesn't suffer from it. I don't think it does. I think this sellout is more or less a great sign for the game.
We've had new people every week at the store that I judge at. We're going on 3 weeks now.
Mhm.
We've had new people every single week,
Same.
so it's pretty cool.
I just want people to be able to draft. I think that's the biggest
Yes.
like thing with all this. It's just like
mhm.
I want
That's
stores
why-
to be able to allow people to play limited at the
That's why
very
we did the
least.
cube, because we want to draft, even if just commons and uncommons. Like we want to draft.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that's the biggest hit. Like even the marketing or FFG said they printed so much because they wanted to be able to support limited. And the downside essentially is a bunch of people got product, but there's none left to support limited kind of thing. So yeah, anyway, fun stuff. Let's move on to talking about big events. We actually have some big real life events already, even 3 weeks into the game coming out. Are we through like 2 week, 3 week, 2.5 weeks?
We're
Wherever
3
we are.
weeks in.
We're 3 weeks in.
Oh,
Yeah.
coming on 4.
So yeah, let's see.
No, it's coming on
Starting
3. Yeah,
starting not
basically
this last weekend, but the weekend before, Poland had a 90-person. They called it a super store showdown, which that's crazy that they got 90 people. I don't have all the list, but their top 4 decks were a green Boba, a green Iden, a green Sabine, and what was I think was the last one the Chewy deck? I don't remember. But anyway, oh wait, no, I do have a link to the top list. I should have pulled this up before. Oh, these are the top 8. Yeah, so first place ended up being Green Krennic, which a lot of people were surprised by. Second, or let's see, third place was the Iden Green. Fourth place was the Sabine Green. I don't know if they got second. Second isn't on here. I don't know why. That's weird. But anyway, rounding out the top 8 was a Boba Green, a Chewy Green that we had talked about earlier, another Iden Green, another Iden Green. So like big high level like analysis is every single deck had green in it. So let's just start with there. What do we think about green right now? Is green overpowered?
It's just consistent. I mean, it's just. I don't think it's overpowered. I think Energy Conversion Lab is overvalued at the moment, because it just smashes someone who doesn't know how to play around it. You can't deal with it. Like if you don't know how to deal with it, it's just gonna hit you and you're done.
Yeah, I've been beating the drum that Energy Conversion Lab is overrated. And then everybody mocks me, but it's like, no, you don't get it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that like people are
there's other
so in
bases out
love.
there.
Yeah, people are so in love with it right now that it is a ridiculous degree that like we just see so many people playing it.
Yeah, and I
There's
agree
also
with you.
I mean it's not just Conversion Lab, but it's just like it's green in general. I'd say everybody is super high in green in general.
Yep.
Which is weird because like outside of like the like few power cards that everyone's like obsessed about, like I feel like green doesn't actually have a lot of the other things that people are like, I don't know, the big things that come out of green are ramp. Obviously like ramp's like the big one, and Conversion Lab, and obviously villain has even more ramp, and then like the Vader unit and Overwhelming Barrage. Like villain green, you know, has a lot of cool tools, but like there's other good cards in villain. There's other good cards in other things. I don't know. I feel like it's a
I
little too narrow to just say that like ramp and green is better than everything, and if you're not running that, it's not going to be the most competitive thing. I mean,
I like Hero Green because I like the Echo Based Defender. I like the Battlefield Marine. Like I like, and I mean U-wing reinforcement's incredible, but like I'm having more fun with Hero Green right now than villain. Maybe because I don't have 3 Vaders, but I just it works for me. Like it just I get why people are playing green right now. It does what I want it to do. Like
Well,
Bright
Hero
Hope,
Green I like
so
because they
good.
also have just like solid units.
Yeah,
Like Hero Green has the like really good, or like Hero Green and Hero Red have like the really just good like cheap units, which is why people are like going to that for more aggression too.
like I think
Um,
Villain Red shuts down Hero Green or Villain Green, because like if you have Force Lightning out, you can shut down someone's ramp pretty easily.
you got to have a force unit out. That's the hard
You
part.
don't though. You just
Not
have to.
not for the
Oh,
blank.
right
Yeah,
for
If
the
you just want
blank.
to
I mean,
blank their super laser
yeah.
technician, you can
If
do
you want to
that.
kill the technician
But they
with it, you
could
do.
conversion lab it into you if they really want. Not the best play,
I mean, if you're gonna
but it
use
is a play.
ECL on that, I'm not gonna stop you. Like,
Right? Yeah.
go for it. You're gonna ramp anyway. You might as well. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
True. The other thing when I read this top eight, I was like, oh, this is the exact meta that Nick is gonna hope for because it was like all mid range and control. So
I
there's
mean, that also
no
kind of happened in the UK one,
kid.
or at least the top, where Boba's beat on all the Sabines.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess let's pivot into that. So like yeah, looking at we had the tournament in Scotland. I don't remember. It was like some convention. I'm blanking on like what the convention was, OPE or something like that, or was running it. But they had 221 players or
Which is a
222
crazy
players.
amount.
A
Jeez.
And the
crazy
prize was
amount.
just boxes too.
Yeah, and the prize was just boxes. Yeah, so
A lot of
nothing,
them.
no huge amount of money, but the top, let's see, 8 decks were all boba. Um, I think one of them was boba yellow, but most of them were boba green. Uh, and then you don't start seeing other decks until like the back half of the top 16. Decks that weren't boba, you saw Grand Inquisitor blue. There was an Iden red. There was a Palpatine. What color was he in? He was in yellow, which was weird.
Which is
Palpatine yellow.
weird. Yeah.
It does some funny stuff with like change of heart though, so I kind of like it.
I mean, Palpatine plus Change of Heart is really funny, but like I feel like that's as far as I went with that deck. I was
Right.
like, this is a cool meme. All right, let's go back to the colors I want to play.
Yeah, they had the Leia deck like I've been playing the Leia with red. They had 2 Darth Vader decks, and yeah, there's a couple other Bobas running it out.
Was there no
So
Sabine in the top 16 then?
there was no Sabine in the top 16. And primarily, like the Limitless site is great because they do all these
Yeah, that
breakdowns.
site is fantastic for
Like
like just
literally, you can
showing
go
data.
into Sabine and see that Sabine on the day was only 12 and 34 against Boba. They only won 26% of the time, and when the field was some ridiculous like 40% Boba or whatever it was, what was it? Or there was 43 Boba decks, 19% of the field. You don't want to be a dog to Boba when there's that many Bobas. So um, yeah, that was interesting. I've seen people online say that Sabine Green into Boba should be like a 50-50 coin flip match. But the data from this tournament does not pan that out. So, like, I guess my question to you guys that I've seen brought up for both Poland and this tournament, we're only, these were played like a week and 2 weeks into the metagame. Is it possible that, players just aren't skilled enough yet, aren't good enough at the game yet, that basically these results are completely invalid essentially, or they just aren't going to be real for like what the meta might be a month from
I I don't think they're invalid. Boba's obviously really good. I think we all agree on that. Everyone, you can't not agree on
now.
Yeah.
it. But like Boba, the thing about Boba is if you're not experienced in playing against Boba, he'll just crush you. Like you cannot deal with Boba if you don't know how to play against him. Even if you do know how to play against him, he's hard to beat. But like if you're a new player and you sit across from Boba, especially like Boba Green with Vader, and you're just probably not going to win. Like you're just not. It doesn't matter what you draw. It doesn't really matter how you play it. If you don't have the experience playing against it, you're not. It's hard to deal with because Boba can just, especially on like turn 4 when leader comes out, because you just play out what you play. You use all your resources. You're gonna get 3 of them back to play something else. Like he's just hard to deal with. That said, the 200 something player tournament did not have a cut.
Yeah, that part was a little sad to see that it was just
Yeah.
a Swiss round thing, which also
So
makes like prizing really weird at the top, where you're just like, I
yeah.
lost a whole box on strength of schedule.
So like that's why I think we see top 8 of Boba, because there is no cut, and Boba will clean up Swiss when he's playing into players that don't know how to deal with him. So like,
The cut is all Boba.
well, it's not all Boba. It's a 16
Yeah, there
player
would have
cut.
been there would have been
It
5
would have been,
A
yeah, it would have
lot.
decks
been.
that weren't Boba out of the 16.
Yeah, but
Would
like
they have gotten
again,
there? I don't know. I will know. I did look through all the players that weren't Boba. Those 5 decks, all were 500 or better against Boba on the day. Which I mean, part of that's like no duh. They would kind of have to be to
yeah,
get to that point. But
you're playing against Boba every other match
I know when you're
probably.
playing as Boba, like in order to get to the top cut, you had to beat him. But like they did beat him. Like I think only like one of those players was like won one, lost one versus Boba, and then everybody else had at least one more matches against Boba than they had lost,
And like
which I thought
I
was
also think a lot of it is people really like Sabine as well, because one, people like Sabine. They like the character, so you want to play her. She's good, and the deck is fairly cheap to build. And Boba, at least in my experience, Boba will smash Sabine most of the time. Like
yep.
he just will,
That's
because
how it worked out at this tournament anyway.
you don't have the units to keep up. Like you have the number of units, but like Boba unit will just eat all of your units alive,
And
and he
most
won't
Bobas
do
are teched
anything.
for
Yeah.
aggro too, so
hmm
like they're set up
So
main boarded to aggro.
yeah, I hesitate to say that it means nothing, because I don't think that's true. But I don't think the sky's falling like on Boba. I just think, especially early on, people get set in something that they think is going to work or that they want to do, and then you just do it. And Boba's just like, that's cool. I'll just do my thing, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I have a theory. Um, like how usually in card games, like every card game I've played early in a meta, like the aggro decks, like everyone's always like, oh, the aggro decks always jump off to a big start.
Yeah,
Now, very few people would call Boba aggro, but I think Boba has one thing that makes it very aggro like in this game, in that Boba does a lot of things that feel very proactive, in that if
yes.
they just do their things right, like in their middle turns, like if they like when Boba flips and they get those extra resources, as long as they like play out their threats and expand like their middle turns, they can win a lot of games just off of doing, XYZ every single time. Much
Yeah.
like if an aggro deck was good, they could just curve out and win every single time. So I do think there's a little bit of that where like I think Boba is kind of was the easy deck to build, or at least the easy deck to find, and it's kind of the easy deck to play because you're the proactive player, and if you do XYZ, you're basically just putting it on your opponent. Can you answer this huge board that I made? No, I win. If yes, I lose. And like everybody else is having to play the control and try to figure out how to answer that right now. And I think, like, not to take anything from the guy that was number one, but he did a few interviews, and I found it was super interesting when he was like, I played 10 total games of Star Wars Unlimited and then took this deck and was undefeated in this tournament. And I'm like, if like this guy could be like a card game savant, I don't know. Or it could be that maybe Boba isn't that hard to play and it does some really strong things in the middle game, and it's an easy deck
Could be
for
both.
beginners to
A
be
bit of
really
both.
good in, or it could be a little bit of both. I don't know. Anyway, that's my theory. Any other thoughts from you, Nick, about these tournaments? Or
Uh I just want to find something that like can consistently beat Boba. Like I feel like obviously you're not going to have insane win rates. I don't know. Maybe it's time to break out Palpatine, you know? Like maybe it's just time. Maybe he needs to come out. If I do well at this tournament, then I can buy my showcase Palpatine and then
and then just
only
play
play
it.
that.
I mean,
Yeah,
thematically, Han should be Boba, right? So
that's true.
the Han Sevens deck, the Casino
Or he
Han.
gets sent to Carbonite. Fed to Jabba.
Yeah, thematically, Han just gets put in carbonite and that whole deck folds. So I think that's how that thematically happens. All
Speaking of
right,
which,
That
I
is
really
literally
want to
what
bring.
No Good to Me did is, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it
literally
is.
is what no good to me. Like, put on.
I kind
It
of
says,
want to bring Casino Han to weekly next week just because I think it's funny and I think that deck's hilarious and I really want to play it.
I think you could probably 3-0 your weekly with it. We had a guy 3-0
That's
2 weeks ago with it at our local. He just put it together and it was
that
hilarious.
that deck is the most Bobby Sapphire deck I've ever seen and I love it. It's very funny.
It
I mean,
is.
even without going like casino with it, I feel like still Han has he's disruptible, but he has some cool plays. Like he's also coming out a turn early, like with his what's it called with his ability.
Yeah, Han's a lot of fun. I think he's a puzzle to solve too. But everybody likes their Mandalorian armor, which is why Sabine and Boba are everywhere.
True. But yeah, I don't know. Because Han is good, but like, yeah, he just gets tripped up by so many things. Like,
Any exhaust effect
if they
will
can't stop it, like,
stop him.
need to build the Han deck that's main decking Spark of Rebellions. Like, be like, I'm gonna check your hand.
Yeah.
Oh,
Make sure you can't screw me.
if I'm playing Yellow Hero, three Spark Rebellions are my main deck. I don't
Yeah.
play Yellow Hero without it.
Yeah, especially with how weak Han can be to those effects. Like, it really just feels like he gets punched in the face. All right, moving on to the next topic. FFG had a stream this week that was mostly just a Q&A with the developers or designer/designer chat. But I think the biggest news to come out this week was they announced that they're walking back the playmat rules from the OP document. So yeah, previously the OP document said that every player had to have either a solid color playmat or a Star Wars Unlimited officially licensed playmat. And then on stream, they said they're going to be walking that back up to where it only applies on stream at a official event.
Just
Apart
fair.
from that, you can play any playmat you want, just not on stream if it's not officially licensed.
That's
Garrett,
fine.
you've been
I
passionate
mean,
about
I
this.
have been passionate about this
What are your
because
thoughts?
I thought it was a dumb rule. Like, I I understand to a degree why that rule exists because they don't want a judge to have to make a judgment call on something like that. I assume that's what it was for. But also, like, I have a bookshelf full of mats from Destiny and Netrunner and other things, and I want to use them. And no judge was going to enforce this rule unless they were given a reason to. Um, so like it being a stream thing, sure, fine. You don't want your game associated with the big titty anime goth girl playmat. I get it. It's fine.
Which quote, by the way, they did say they're going to add a provision that by judge's discretion they can
Yeah,
make you
good.
not use anything deemed inappropriate or
That's fine.
That
I mean,
makes
that's
completely
perfectly
sense.
fine. That's perfectly reasonable. Like, it, to me, it struck me as we don't have a lot of faith in our products. You have to buy them. Like that's how I felt about it initially. Um, and I just thought it was dumb. Like people that are playing this game, yeah, you can have a lot of new players. I know that for a fact. We have a lot of people who have never played a card game or haven't played a card game since the Decipher Star Wars card game. But you also have lots of people who play like every card game and who are gonna go, "Oh, I'm not doing that. That's a dumb rule." Like, and just be like, "Well, then I just won't play this." Um, and no, you're not gonna have a significant amount of people doing that probably, but it's enough to be concerned about. I think. So yeah, I think having it be a stream thing, perfectly fine and reasonable. Having it be having to make judges go around to tables and take your playmat, stupid. Like it's just dumb. And I'm glad that they saw the community and went, all right, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I didn't like the rule either. I do think it's a little bit concerning that I feel like organized play is like 0 for 2 on these things so far. And there's still a handful of other things that I think I take issue with in the organized play rules that I think they need to clean up. Like, the uneven cut rules don't even work how they have them listed, and I think that's a problem. There are people that complain about the double loss tie rule. I personally don't have a problem with
I do not think that is a good rule right now.
it.
It
There's a
might
lot of
be for
people who don't like it.
competitive. It is not a good rule. There should be a different something for competitive versus like casual events, I think, for the document, because like 55 minutes is not enough for people right now at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and I can see that argument, at least as a casual
And
versus
the downsides that you're trying to avoid with the double loss thing don't apply as much in like a casual environment.
Sure.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I can't really argue that, though. I do have less of a problem with the double loss than most, because I think a lot of people just don't understand that like any tiebreaker they throw in is going to disadvantage someone too. Like it doesn't make any difference if we go to time and then as me on the control
Well,
deck.
what I think at the very
Anyway.
minimum, I think you should get points for every game you win. I don't know why that's not a thing in games. Isn't that not a thing in other things like in X-Wing or in Magic or something? Like in X-Wing you get points for the amount of
Yeah,
things you
Magic's
kill.
still just like 3
I
points for a
don't in
win, 1
X-Wing.
point for a draw, 0 points for a loss.
I don't know. What is there no benefit to winning going 1 and 2 versus getting 2-0'd? I feel like
The
maybe I'm
tiebreaker,
in the
yeah,
wrong.
the tiebreakers, like the standings tiebreakers in general, is another thing that people have taken issue with as well. The big thing there usually though is that they don't like that there's not a head-to-head tiebreaker as like the first thing after win-loss record. So it goes win-loss record, and then it goes straight into
Strength
opponent's
schedule.
strength of schedule, and then opponent's strength of schedule.
It's
So
not
like
really any different from what Destiny was.
I don't think it. I don't. Yeah, I don't think Destiny. It's been too
I think most games run it like that now, which I also don't particularly love. I'd rather head to head be the first tiebreaker.
but yeah, they run it. You run into weird stuff where like you get a whole gamut of people that are like X and one, and then like there'd be like one guy that beat everybody, but his tiebreakers are worse, so he
Yeah.
ends up in like fourth place
Well,
instead of
for anything
third.
big, I'm very much a proponent of like if you're like X and 2, you should be able to advance. I feel
That's
like
so
then
in
you just have to
Worlds.
pad rounds or something for there. But like I don't like when that stuff comes to strength of schedule for the most part. I feel like it's better to just make people play more games and fatigue
Yeah.
out rather than
I
But
don't remember if it was
anyway,
this way
back to
for Destiny, but in Worlds for X-Wing, it was like that. Like to make day 2, you had to be X and whatever. Like you
yeah.
had to win X amount of games and you make it. I don't remember. I think Destiny did the same thing.
at some points they did, yeah.
Yeah. So like I like that a lot more as well.
So anyway, bringing it back to my main point with at least all these issues with the OP document, they've walked back 2 different things now. The organized play software is a complete mess. Like how
Yeah.
worried are
It's
we that
pretty
like
bad.
organized play is going to be like is sinking this game?
I mean they cannot run an actual like there's no way they can run a planetary on that software.
No, I
You
No
can't
wouldn't
even
even
look at
freaking way.
try.
standings. You can't look at standings mid tournament.
I was like, I can't run like 15 person one in my store without tripping over something. Like you can't run 100-person tournament.
You can't accidentally submit a pairing wrong, and there's no way to go back and fix it once you finalize a round. It's
I
just
I don't.
permanent.
This software is made by people who have never played a card game or any game. Like I don't. How do
You
you
can't.
what
It's so
what
hard to
is
add
this thing?
players after the event starts.
Yep.
The static table option does not do anything.
No, it
Like it
doesn't.
just doesn't work. I thought, oh cool, like as a judge I could just like make sure I'm like at table 1, so I'm always like next to the computer and I'm always like at the same spot. No, it doesn't work.
Uh,
Yeah.
Can't
I
static table.
you can't not being able to see standings mid tournament is the one that just gets
Yeah,
me.
no
Like I don't.
standing.
I want to know where I am in the standing. Like
Yeah, they don't even when you get the standings, they don't have it in a way that you can like display it on a TV screen
the
when you get
finish
to that
tournament
point.
button does nothing.
Yeah, the pairings scrolling speeds is like slow, little bit less slow, hyper speed. When
Ludicrous
you go to
speed.
3x, I'm like, what the crap? So yeah, if you have a bunch of people like we do, where we have like 15 tables, people have to stand there and wait when I have it on the 2x. But if I put it to the 3x, it's just spinning like too fast.
Yeah.
I hope they didn't spend a lot of money on that software, because I know,
I mean, I
I
hope they figure out
personally know
something
people who
by.
could build a better one in like a day.
I hope that like store showdowns is they have something figured out by then. I don't know. Like I organized play is definitely the zone that has worried me the most so far, just because there's not been a lot of transparency about it. Like for as much as we've seen like the devs and stuff, and we've had interviews with like organized play stuff, it just there's a lot of unknowns. And that was fine before the game came out. The game's out now. Store showdowns are in like a month, and we're only 3 months after that. Like we're only like 4 months out from possibly the first competitive events, and I don't feel like we got nothing. Like we know that they're going to be in stores, the lowest one level ones, and we don't know anything about that hardly. Like we don't know much about the format. We know they're going to be one day. Like I don't know. There's so many questions, and I don't know if they are fully set, and that's why they're not ready to reveal it. But that's something
My
that I wish we had our
my
hands on.
assumption goes hand in hand with what we talked about earlier, in that they did not expect this to be this big this soon, which is not a good excuse, but it makes sense within context. Like, they didn't think they were gonna have to worry about having this level of OP 3 weeks after the game came out. Like,
Sure.
I don't think that they did.
Yeah.
Like, I
I
don't
But
don't
I
think
think
mean,
they
like, there's
thought
anyone.
just
that.
things like the website also is just like the website is a place that's ripe to have a lot of really useful player features, and there's basically nothing on it right now. Like, other than you can see the rules books on it, and you could build a deck on there if you really want.
Yeah, it does
But
bother me that we have one guy in Parker building a database website that just is leaps and bounds ahead of something they spent money on. And this is just a guy who built it in his free time, and it's like,
yeah,
geez, this is gross. Like, I don't know. It does,
like by
yeah.
the time they have the competitive stuff, they need to have like the low website definitely needs to support a lot more, especially they're trying to like track like tournament points type stuff. But I guess like that whole system doesn't even necessarily matter until after the first world, so they have like a whole year on that still. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like people would like to have all that stuff
How
sooner
they
or
said that
later.
like people that earn points could get a buy at the first worlds or
Oh
something
right, I
along
forgot
those
about
Because
yeah.
I'm putting player IDs in. I don't know what they're
Yeah.
doing,
Well, like I and
but
just like that would be awesome if there's so much potential for there's so much potential here by like having everybody record stuff in their software onto the website. You would feasibly have access to a lot of data. Like if you can be like at the points where they can actually like allow deck list submissions in their tournament software, then you'd be like, boom, here's my deck, and then you can look at your matchups versus decks with your decks, and like basically everything that Limitless site does, they need to have on their site. Like
hmm
at the very minimum, that is like they have to have it. That is like
all they have to
absolutely
do is go
fantastic.
look at what Magic was doing a decade ago, because they've been doing this for a long time. Like, you have a player ID number, you submit it when you go
And
to a
Flesh and Blood
tournament.
is doing that too, I
Yeah,
think.
like, you
Yep.
submit it when you go to a tournament. The judge will upload it after, and then you get like an ELO ranking. Like, that's
Yeah.
how it works. It's it, I say it can't be that hard because I'm not the person that has to program it,
Mm.
but like, this has been happening for decades. It
FFG did
cannot.
all this
Yeah,
stuff with Keyforge.
yeah, like, they can
Oh,
do
they
it.
did. They had that stuff with
Yes.
Keyforge.
Yes, they
Oh,
track
okay.
tournaments, decks, and everything.
I don't know if they had an
Yeah,
ELO thing for Keyforge, but yeah,
they
they had
could
the
have.
chains and everything. Like, they had all that for
Yeah, I forgot about
Keyforge.
that whole thing. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but it does worry me that like there's still a gap in FFG. Either they're not spending enough money on it, or they just don't have the right organization in place to handle what they want to do with this game. And that's my biggest worry. Like, you did great with like product, you did great with marketing, you did great with design. You totally ignored OP, and then you're
That was a
ahead
huge
of,
problem with Destiny too.
yeah.
Like the product shortage, aside, like the actual organized play in Destiny definitely was like it was fine, but it was like obviously this was never like Destiny was never bound to be a competitive like to be competitive with like any of the bigger card games based on like the organized play that was there.
This could
I
be.
like I like
I
the
mean,
local weekly pack thing. Like I don't have anything against it. I think
Oh, it's
that's
a
a
good
great
idea.
idea. I'd like to
that's
see that
great.
keep going, but like for everything past that, we still have a lot to go.
I mean, I have to hope that the higher ups will see the surge of players for this and put devote
Yeah.
more resources towards OP, because you have to. If you want to compete with the big three, you have to. Like,
They had their head of OP leave the week the game released. So
I don't know how to read that one, but it's a little.
it's a whole
little
thing.
weird.
That was weird. I've met Josh many times. He's a cool guy. I have no idea why he left. Could have been just getting more money from a different company thing, but it certainly doesn't
Probably.
help OP be any better, like be in any better state when the guy in charge is gone basically, right? That's just another thing
Yeah.
that's throwing another wrench in the cogs, essentially, as it is.
I'm choosing to let go of the past, and and have some hope that and be optimistic that they'll
Yes.
Yeah.
see what this can be and devote the resources to it.
I
All
mean,
right.
what I'm mostly asking is like, I just like if we're gonna have like a live stream that's like a Q&A stuff, like I just want like some insight, some transparency on like where do you stand? Do you realize that things aren't good with where we're at, and what do you want to see happen? Obviously, like over promising is a problem, but like, I just want to be told how it is,
Yeah, we definitely
because they've been
could.
so good about it for everything else.
Yeah, we need more transparency in OP, for sure. Like, and I think they need to address it. Like, we need to start seeing like some like, here's a list of problems we know we have, and like here's a tentative timeline of when we're going to fix said problems. I think is kind of what people would like to see. Like, I need to know, like, are you planning on rolling out a website update by May? Is the software stuff going to be updated by May for store championships? We need let people know that their complaints have been heard, or that they're working on it, and it's kind of just been silence, I feel, from the OP stuff.
And like, if you're
Yeah.
behind, let people know you're behind on it. Like, that's people would rather be told the truth than be told nothing, even if the truth isn't great. Like, at least I would.
Yeah.
Like, if the truth is, hey, we didn't see this coming, we're working on it. Sure. Like, well, everybody I think would be fine with hearing
Mhm.
that.
And the secret other shoe that I'm waiting to drop that I haven't heard yet, but I think it stands to reason that we're going to hear stores running out of OP packs soon
Oh yeah.
and not being able to get more. And
Because we
that's
don't
going
know anything about that. Like, was that like a one wave and done wave kind of thing?
to, supposedly stores were supposed to be able to get more depending on participation. But like, if they short printed, like if they don't have enough for like people buying boxes, I would not put any money on that they printed enough OP packs for this many players. Like, each box is supposed to support 8 players for an 8-week cycle before they get to the next 8-week cycle.
I mean,
I
essentially, you need 2 organized play boxes per set per 8 players, because it's about 16 weeks in between sets.
Yep. Yeah, and I thought that they were going to do a different set for the second 8 weeks, like different stuff in the
Oh,
pack.
really? I
Yeah.
did not know that that was even considered as a
I think that
possibility.
was how it was. Like, the first 8 weeks after a set was going to be this set of OP packs, and then the second 8 weeks of the set was going to be a different set of promo cards in the
Pretty
packs.
cool if that's actually going to happen, but we haven't heard anything about it either. So
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think like, yeah, the next loss, I think, in the OP, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear like, oh, stores have ran out of their OP packs and they can't get more, and we're only 4 weeks into the 8-week cycle.
and we're
So
doing okay. Like, we have, I mean, but like the store that I'm like running the events at, we're like a little bit under 16 people, and I know they have two organized play boxes, so like that should go 8 weeks, hopefully at least.
I am worried.
yeah,
We
my
don't
my
really have
store my
much.
store has 2 OP boxes, and we're getting 40 players a week.
Yeah, well,
So
they should have probably got more than 2.
we will run out halfway through and be not have any if we can't get
Yeah,
any more.
It's a
2 is
problem.
not enough there.
Anyway, on to happier things. We got some events coming up. Let's talk about what we're doing coming up. So, Taxter, you got Madison event this weekend. You want to talk
Yep, we
about that?
have first cash tournament thing at Misty Mountain Games in Madison, and I have no idea how the turnout's going to be for that yet. It's going to be. I mean, we could get people. We'll definitely get people from Milwaukee. I don't know if we're going to get people from Chicago. Like, it's still 2 to 3 hour drive. Like, what it's looking like to be is like minimum $500 prize pool, but gonna scale up basically with number of players with like 95% I think of the entry fees going right into the prize pool. So it's basically just get a bunch of people in and have fun, spread the wealth.
You're gonna
Hopefully
get that nut, big old
I
nut.
mean, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know what to expect. Like, there's a good bit of diversity of like people who are in the area in terms of like people definitely people playing Boba. There'd be people that just want to play the deck they want to play. There's be people that don't want to go to an event like this because it's going to be too competitive. So like, I don't really know who else going to show up. I mean, obviously the more competitive people will definitely be there. I expect a lot of Bobas. I'd expect a decent amount of Sabines, and I don't know what else.
Yeah. Well, good luck. I'll definitely be trying to watch any streams that I can find this weekend.
I don't think we're going to stream it. I think the plan now is to record, and we'll do commentary and release.
I did talk to Loopy, and he's like, "We're gonna have something."
Yeah. We settled at least this time we're not streaming it. Long term, maybe so. They're going to be like mostly monthly is the plan here. So like the next one is going to be May the 4th, and hopefully we'll have an actual stream thing set up by then.
But, and I think there's a few.
Then you have to have somebody commentate in the back room. It's like the idea is like to have somebody commentate, but then like they're not playing and they have to be knowledgeable about the game. And it's like, man, I'd love to commentate, but I also like to play. So
true. But yeah, I think there's a lot of. I've heard of more than one event that's going to be happening on May the 4th. So if you want a big event in your area,
that's a good day.
It's a good day, and there's going to be a lot of places having it. Other of big events now that I know that are coming up, which I think is the thing like we were talking about that OP wasn't ready for like big events this quickly because a bunch of people said, "Oh, you're not going to have competitive events? Well, we're going to do our own." So, for example, Star City Games has decided at their Star City game circuit, they're going to be running side events of Star Wars Unlimited. They're going to run 1Ks, and I think it might go up from there. So, for example, in April 12th through the 14th is SCG Con Atlanta. They're going to be running a 1K Star Wars Unlimited event on Saturday, I think is what it looks like. So that's coming up.
Side event mean that like I have no idea how this works. Do you have to like pay to get into the whole thing, or is it just you have to pay to get into a main event in order to play in a side event?
I have no idea how this
It's going to depend on the event because when I
think
did cons before, like there was an X-wing tournament at a convention, and they just let us in because we were in the tournament. So
I don't think it's a thing where you have to pay to get into the con for the SCG con stuffs, but I could be wrong on that. Well, yeah, people are definitely going that I know that are just going to head there in 2 weeks to play Star Wars.
If Atlanta was a little bit closer, I'd be in.
Enough.
It's about 7
and then,
hours.
Yeah, and then the biggest event that's been announced already is in a month in Kissimmee. They announced the $5,000 Star Wars Unlimited tournament on April 21st.
What's the entry fee on that one?
The entry fee, let's see, where's it? Have it on.
It's got to be pretty high to go that high in prize.
I'm missing. Maybe if I click the register button, it'll show me what it is. Maybe. Wait, where? Oh, it's $30. That's not too bad.
It's not terrible, no.
Yeah, $30. And I was trying to see if the first place is 1,500, second place 700, third and fourth place 500, fifth through eighth 250, ninth through 16th 100. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know if they have a cap for the number of registrants for that event. I think they do, but it's pretty high. I think from what I heard. But yeah, that'll be interesting. That's going to be probably one of the biggest event pools. I think they're doing it on a weekend that they're also doing a Lorcana event same weekend.
Yep, they are.
So yeah, that'll be probably a very competitive event early on. We should see people really try harding for that, so maybe it'll give us a better idea of the meta.
It's about 9.5 hours for me, and I really want to go.
You can do it.
But
You should do it.
Parenthood kind of takes precedence.
Bring the kid with you. It's really close to Disney World.
It's only an hour and 20-minute flight.
Yeah, there you go. Just fly it.
It's so tempting, but like, I don't know. I don't really want to go on a Spirit Airlines.
For only an hour, you'll be fine.
The event is on a Sunday, which is super weird.
Oh,
Yeah, people have brought this up. So the Star Wars, like I think they're doing Lorcana Saturday, and Star Wars is on Sunday at the location, which is really weird. So I know there's a few people I've talked to that are like going to fly up there, do Disney World Galaxy's Edge on Saturday, and then do this on Sunday, which honestly sounds like a really
It's pretty cool.
But it wasn't even farther for me to try to get there.
My hope is that the store in Mobile, Alabama, shout out to Gamers and Geeks, they will start doing bigger events like this because they have a gigantic play space. They run big X-Wing tournaments. They did Destiny stuff a lot. Really hoping they do it because that's about 3 hours driving, so I can do that in a day. I would love for them to do it, but we'll just have to see.
I'm putting a bug in Sean's ear to try to work with the people to get something in Portland. Give us a Pacific Northwest 1K, maybe. That'd be cool. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like, yeah, there's a lot of people running these events, which I think is extremely positive. Like, if FFGOP isn't going to step up, community's stepping up in a big way, and I think that's really awesome. So,
I mean, we never had 1Ks and 5Ks for Destiny, did we? Like, certainly not 5Ks.
We had
there
some
were
people.
a few people trying to do cash tournaments that didn't really take off.
Because this feels legit. Like, people are gonna go to these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of this is that there's a lot of Magic crossover into Star Wars Unlimited. So I think you're going to get some of that crowd of players that are used to these types of events, and like people that are getting into Star Wars Unlimited have ran these events, so now they want to run these events for Star Wars Unlimited. Like there's just a lot of cross fandom happening there. Like I think Star Wars Unlimited appeals a lot to former Magic players that are tired of the Magic BS. So,
yep.
Yeah, like me. That's me.
I mean, I haven't played Magic in over a decade, but yeah,
I've never really played Magic, but I hear that from like all the people that have moved over or that are playing this that used to play Magic are like, yeah, I'm kind of just tired of all the BS.
Yep. Anyway, we're at an hour and 7 minutes, so that's probably enough of us yammering on. Just pay attention, I guess. Hopefully, they're going to get me and Nick on late night gaming with the webcam league soonish. One of these upcoming weekends, and that should be fun. We've got our webcam stream. If Garrett can get his, we might invite him on too.
It is. I have all the equipment. It's just getting it dialed in at this point.
Get us up, and we can all webcam with them and play some webcam games, which should be a lot of fun. And then, yeah, we'll probably be back next week. Just play some webcam games streaming on our channel, like we seem to do every other week. So, all right, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah.